Welcome to the Impactful Engineer Project. I'm Steve Maxey, and with my co-host and brother Jake, we are here to bring you guidance, fresh ideas, and the tools to help you become an impactful engineer.
A real example is you have a supplier that screwed up something so bad on your project, and you have the normal expectation that, okay, every other supplier would not screw this up, right? They would follow normal guidelines on this thing, and it would not be screwed up when it is finished. But this supplier screws it up anyway. Okay, so when you are practicing ownership, like most people are like, oh, big project delay, the supplier screwed up, we're doing our best to rectify it, to pull time in, blah, blah, blah. That's kind of your normal response to it. But you have to ask yourself, okay, what could we have done to communicate our expectations, even though we expect them to operate a certain way? But in the event that they don't, should we have, and then the answer is yes, communicated specifically ahead of time, be like, hey, we expect you to execute on this thing exactly like this, and this, and this, and this, because we don't want to run into a scenario where it is screwed up because we didn't think of doing this thing. So,
yes.
Yeah. Yes. So, and I think that's lost a lot because people assume others are always going to do the best job possible. And even if they don't intend to, people fuck up, And so if you get ahead of it and take ownership of the success of your project, and you get ahead of it and you just lay out your expectations, then that significantly reduces the chance and opportunity of them fucking it up.
Yeah.
And so that's how I think practicing ownership in the real world actually happens, is doing things like that.
Yeah. And guess what? That doesn't contain at all blame.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Ownership to me is about eliminating blame.
Yes.
Because if you don't blame anything, what's left is you. So you could blame the vendor. You could blame the team because they didn't communicate properly. You could blame whatever else you want to. You could even blame yourself. But you shouldn't do that either. Don't blame anything.
Yeah.
You just take data and you do things based on the data, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, I completely agree. And we've never talked about this. Not even like you and I behind the scenes.
Yeah.
This is a great idea. I love this. And how it shows up in my world right now is people need to be reminded constantly. Even the ones that tell you that they don't need to be reminded.
Mm-hmm.
When they say that, that's just ego. That's pride. What are you doing telling me that I need to remember to do these things? Oh, shit. Yeah, I totally forgot that. Good thing he said that. Whatever. Yeah. Like, and you can do it in certain ways that don't rub people wrong. I'm not saying
absolutely.
Be an asshole about it and always constantly be up people's butts. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But people need to be reminded more often than they need to be told.
Yeah.
Okay?
And
you
that's
can't just tell somebody one time.
Yeah. People are busy as shit, man.
Yes.
Like you can just simply forget that there's a step in the process that you need to do to ensure this thing's going to have great results. Because you're so fucking busy doing all these other projects.
And who has your back?
Yeah.
Think about that.
It's great to have someone say, hey, before you do this thing, let's make sure these steps are taken care of. That's all. And you can always phrase it like, I just want to make sure that this is the best result possible. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah.
And who can argue like, oh, that's a stupid idea. Why would you want to ensure great results?
That's right. You tie it to something logical.
Yeah.
The data shows that if we remind the engineer on a weekly cadence for a 2-month project, that we are successful 90% of the time. And that if we don't have a weekly reminder cadence, that we are successful 60% of the time. Why wouldn't you put in a reminder cadence each week to increase the likelihood of success by 30%? Whatever it is. You've got to define the success. You've got to figure out where the holes are, do the thing that makes the holes go away or build you a little bridge over them, and then track it. Sure. But yeah, why wouldn't you set up that reminders cadence? And there's many other applications to this. You know, I like mindset stuff because I use that kind of stuff all the time. And the idea of extreme ownership has served me so well in my life. But there were like two distinct levels to this. I heard about the concept, started blaming myself for everything, and I said, I'm just going to adopt the mindset. If I blame myself, I'll come up with more solutions, right? But you can kind of trap yourself and get a little discouraged. And if you really start to blame yourself, we're all here just doing our best, and we're all going to die someday, and nothing matters.
Yeah.
So why blame yourself anyway? Because you're going to be dead. But you can start blaming yourself, right? And then there's this like transition to where you can still be the extreme ownership person, but you're not blaming yourself anymore. You're just using data. It's like, okay, what gives us the best chances of success?
And then doing that thing.
Doing the thing. Like if running around outside, screaming your head off in 10 counterclockwise circles, you know, increases your success, I'd do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, oh man, I would make $100,000 this month. But if I went outside and screamed around in circles for a little bit, I would make 150 this month. And that like happens every time I've tested it. Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
This is just about doing, not about overanalyzing and shoving off all of the ownership and blaming to other people or yourself. Just do the stuff.
It's ask the right questions. It's
and then here you go. Give us the tactics.
Yeah.
How does this work, Steve?
Yeah. I mean, you just ask the right questions of how can I make this better, or how can we make this better, right? And then, as you say, do the actions that will increase your likelihood of success. And that's it. I mean, that's really what practicing ownership in the real world actually looks like. It's not doing any kind of blame game, even yourself. Because that's just going to deteriorate your own self-worth, and that's bullshit. Don't do that. And you know, the other concept that I wanted to bring up, it's related in my opinion, is let's see, how's this phrase again? It is unspoken expectations leads to resentment. So if you don't convey your expectations on something, it's going to piss you off. You're going to build up that resentment over time. But how is that person supposed to live up to your expectations if they don't even know about them? Right. So take ownership, be proactive, lay out your expectations of how to find success in whatever it is. And then you won't ever have resentment build up between you and who you're working with. It's just going to be like, okay, was it successful or not? And that's it.
Yep. And I guess like one little tactic is to just bring it up before you are constantly conveying your expectations, because like doing it once up front, like I said before, is not going to make it happen. You know, you said it one time in one meeting, like you got to follow
one ear
up.
out the other. Yeah
and then most people take that as badgering, and that's their problem, and they're, you know, if they would just not take it that way, that'd be great. But that's not how the world works, so including myself. Like someone's telling me all the time, it's just like, God, I know, you know. But it's still helpful. But when someone says to me, this is how I manage, this is how I ensure success, I wouldn't do it if I didn't think it helped. I'm going to be following up every week. I'm going to be, you know, throwing ideas out. If you've got it already and you can dump it, great. If you didn't think of it and it does help, please use it. But otherwise, we're cruising. There's nothing against anything about you or anyone else. It's just what I believe and have seen creates the most success.
Yeah.
So I kind of took a step back there, but I wanted to like put that in there because people, I don't know, they'll probably be like, no, dude, these guys are talking about micromanagement and blah, blah, blah. Communicating their expectations like all the time. Like you don't need to do that. And you know, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what people, I don't assume to know what people think. I do that.
You don't even have to use the word expectations, you know, because a lot of times that has some negative connotation. You can just say, hey, I'd like to see us win. I think this is what it's going to take to win. you can ask for feedback, right? What do you think? And okay, let's agree to move towards our goal, doing, you know, what we just talked about. You're laying expectations, but you're not like, this is what I expect. And then, you know, like a hardliner kind of attitude, right?
The words we use, the way we say them.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just, you're coming to a mutual understanding of what is to be done for success. And that's it.
You know what I do more often than not when I was working with a team to overcome the words and the way I said them was just to really get to know them and show them who I was, why I was here, and build that trust over time. Because that was easier for me to do than to think about how do I deliver this so that they don't get upset with me or annoyed or, you know, resentful or pushback or guy sounds like a jerk. You know, I just kind of like, that's the approach I took, was build the friendship and the working relationship so that whatever I said, they took it with the best intent right out of the gate.
So let me ask you then, how do you execute when it is a team that you haven't worked with before and had the opportunity to make those establishments?
Yep. Every time that happens, for me, it's being humble and being extremely useful and having their back at the detriment of you getting your own work done.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's another skill set also to learn how to read people very quickly on how they like to be communicated to, and then change your communication style to suit that right off the cuff, because you will be able to collaborate a lot more effectively with a lot of unknowns still up in the air, right? And then as you build that relationship, you can shift back towards a neutral communication style that you both can work with, and you'll be a little more natural state later on. So you have to like change how you communicate a little more upfront, and then kind of back it off towards your natural state.
Yeah.
As you build that trust.
And whether these approaches are right or wrong, they've just worked well for me.
Yeah.
Another one is I will, even if I see something that is like, dude, you're going to run into a brick wall and this is all going to come crashing down, I'll just let it happen.
Sometimes that's the best way for people to learn, though.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. What do you need from me? You know, I just need you to leave me alone. Great. Next milestone comes up. All right, man, left you alone. How we doing? And then you get it. And it's just, you know, you could have reminded him about a couple things. You could have conveyed some information. You could have done some things and things would have worked out really well. Like a good leader does, a good manager of a project. I didn't do it. You know, you just don't do it because they said, I want you to just leave me alone. And then the deliverable comes out like shit. I mean, okay. Hey, so, you know, we want these deliverables to look like this. Do you need anything? What should we change this next go around so that we do better? I just need you to leave me alone. Well, I left you alone the entire time last time and it came out this way and it's not meeting the company's standard. So what do? We got to do something, because if we don't change anything, then we didn't learn anything and we're going to repeat our mistakes. And then what are we doing here? So let's change one thing. What's one thing we can change? Oh, well, I guess maybe this or that. Because, you know, once you get past the hurdle of we can't change nothing, because then it's going to end up the same way. There's got to be something that happened. Oh, well, they didn't give me this information. And usually when we don't get the information at this time, we just don't even bother with it. Okay. So here's one thing we can do differently. You tell me the information that you haven't received yet, and you let me handle it. I'll go get that information for you. I know you sent the email and you copied me, but there was no follow-up. There was no nurturing. There was no asking again. There was no putting a timeline to it. There was no, if you don't get us this information, there's going to be this huge catastrophic failure, you know? So, you know, when you send that out and we don't get an answer in 2 days, I'll follow up until we get it. And then I'll give you the information. Okay. Sounds good. And then you just change that one thing. And then that builds trust. And then, but you actually got to do it, right?
Yeah.
So they ask for a piece of information and then you are the one tracking it down and saying, here you go, man. I noticed they weren't getting back to you. So I called them. I drove over there. I knocked on their office door. I hung up the phone that they were on and I said, give me this thing. You know, so here you go. You know?
Yeah.
That's another tactic I would use. It's just like,
yeah,
all right, yeah, we'll do it your way and then see what happens. And if it's really good, it's like, hell yeah, man, that worked out great. Do it again next time.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I would add to that is maybe at the time that they said leave me alone, they weren't having a great day. So if it looks like a scenario of that sort, I would still check in at some point, maybe before a point of no return of the whatever that task is, and just say, hey, I know you said leave me alone. I just wanted to double check if that's still what you want.
Yeah.
There's
extremes to this.
Yeah, exactly.
There's like, you still got to, I try my best to hammer the point, because if I put too many caveats into it, it gets lost. So please, from here on out, if you're listening and you're new, I hit the impactful, like I want to punch you in the gut with it. But please, there's context. I mean, there's different levels. It's not just black and white. It's like, oh, well, Jake said when they said leave me alone, you just leave them alone forever. And then your boss is going to be like, well, shit, it's still your problem.
Yeah.
Duh. Please.
So, I mean, to that point, I think illustrating things in the extremes makes things a lot more digestible when you're trying to learn something or figure something out. Right.
And then you apply your own situation to it.
Yeah. I mean, just like a simple mechanical problem, like, hey, does this steel rod bend easy? Well, if it's, only a foot long and a foot in diameter, that's not going to bend, right? It's huge. Yeah. But if it's a foot long and it's 30 thousandths of an inch in diameter, guess what? It's going to bend really easy. And so you can just think things in extreme. It's like, yes, those are completely two different shapes. But that as the diameter increases, it's going to not bend as easy, right? Just thinking things in the extreme, like whether it's a concept, whether it's a mechanical problem, whatever, like it helps you just understand what the variables are.
Yeah. And I'm learning this exact lesson in business right now. When I send out a communication, because my job right now is just to call on people, communicate, advertise. When I say, we'll take like fault current ratings as an example. If I was to communicate with a developer and I said, hey, if you have a multifamily project with 50 to 75 units or greater that is in the construction document phase, and you have a one-line diagram with feeders shown and they're copper and the panel boards are more than 50 feet away and it's a 6-story building, and and just going on and on. Did you know that there could possibly be, but depending on all these things, the length, the size of the feeder, the load on it, the breaker, that you could possibly save a little bit of money if you decided to look at the fault current rating of your panel board. But, it depends. So really, I lost you guys 30 seconds ago.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't cover all scenarios.
Yeah.
It's like, did you know that a lot of materials cost comes from over-designed fault current ratings for unit panel boards? If you have 50 or more, call me and I'll explain it to you.
Yeah.
I could save you money. That is the message. You can't give them every caveat, right? Mm-hmm. Is that true? No. Does every engineer in the entire world over-engineer and over-specify the interrupting current rating of the panel board for their breakers? No. But if I say all this shit, they're never going to read the rest of it anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was my job to make it clear. And so when they give me a call and I explain to them on the phone, it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, hey, how you doing? First of all, I'm talking to somebody. Goal achieved. Yeah. Then we're talking about their specific project. It's only 5 minutes. I can tell you whether I can be helpful or not, and I'll send you on your way. And if I can help you, it's literally attaching drawings to an email and saying, make. And then I'm like, on it. And in 24 hours, here's what you could save. Go talk to your team about it. If you want to use me, great. If you don't. But you could save money right here doing this. That's where I want to be. So I don't know. I thought about that because about what we were talking about. I'm like, yeah. Being clear, there's a difference, It's like, then absolutely. You jump in. So you'd make the statement and then you jump in and you talk about it and you apply your context and the situation you're in. Highly recommended.
Yeah. All right. Well, we kind of bounce around a little bit there.
Yeah. What are we even talking about anymore?
well, we
I hope
started.
That was helpful.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a lot of good info. But I mean, we started out as how can you take ownership in the real world? Like, how do you apply that? Like extreme ownership concept. And
doing everything that you can to ensure the success of whatever you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't work out, you think about why, and then you pivot and you do something else. And you
make a change. And you keep changing until you are 100% successful or getting there, right?
Yeah, that's how you own it, man.
Mm-hmm. So awesome. We want to wrap this up then?
Yeah. If you're trying to increase your ownership, think about all the shit that could mess up what you're doing right now, and then create systems to help you keep it from happening.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Well,
I don't do the wrap up, dude. You do it.
I'll do it
so much
do
better than me.
Well, that's because I just read it. All right. If you guys learned something today or think someone else needs to hear our point of view, please share the show. It's the best way that we can grow this podcast and continue to create value and impact for the engineering community. And we absolutely ask you to leave us a review. 5 stars, great comments. That's how we can help.